Again, like I think the Zone are very willing to work with broadcasters to make sure the best fights are made. Again, I don't know enough about the Tank Ryan Garcia issue. It sounds like Showtime don't want the Zone involved, and if they did, the fight would get made instantly, right? So, and then when you look at Spence Crawford, after Crawford's comments last night, it was, we offered them more money than we could have made, but ultimately we couldn't do it because it wasn't a PBC fight and they wouldn't allow that. So I think that's all you can do, really, and ultimately our offer to Deontay Wilder would be probably just that. Here's an amount of money for the fight. If we have to work with cross networks, we have no problem looking at that. Anthony Joshua is exclusive to DAZN. We can look at a dual broadcast. We can look at just making you an offer, and maybe contractually you can just accept that offer. I don't know, but these fighters have to also look out for themselves and take on opportunities. And if fights can't get made in one way, they should look at another way. Contractually, sometimes that's difficult, but if it's not difficult contractually, you have to look at that. And if Errol Spence was really offered 20 or 25 million to fight Terence Crawford, he probably should have taken it, but was obviously told not to take it. But now he's going to be fighting for a quarter of that to fight Thurman or Stanley Onis or whoever it's going to be,
Yeah, you brought Crawford's comments yesterday. What did you make of that? And do you feel, knowing the business, that there was a lot of truth to that, what he said?
I mean, look, there's a lot of bluff merchants in boxing, like not Terence Crawford, but people who will get in people's ears and say, I'll do that and I'll pay that. And, whatever you think about Al Heyman stopping fights, blocking fights, Al Heyman is also very intelligent, right? He knows the industry like the back of his hand, So sometimes people will come into the sport that he may perceive to be clowns or like, I'm not working with those guys. And I understand that. So I don't blame Al Heyman too much, but obviously if you can't get a fight made, and you've got to look at it like this. With Al Heyman, he has a contract with Fox, with Showtime. They've invested a lot of money into Errol Spence, right? If Al Heyman takes Errol Spence off Fox or Showtime, it is going to be hugely detrimental to his business, right? Now, that's really not Errol Spence's problem, but it's on Al to make that fight. Now, Crawford's a free agent. They should have made that fight. The problem with that fight, and I'll say it again, is it's not as big as people perceive it to be. The problem is when you've got people coming in looking to enter the market, playing inflated purses, i.e. 25 million, and Al Heyman's out there saying, well, we don't have a guarantee, it's a split, right? And on the other hand, someone's in Terence Crawford's ear saying, I'll give you 25 million for the fight. Crawford's thinking, I'm not doing a split, like what's my guarantee? Al Heyman says there's no guarantee. The problem with this fight, Marcos, is if a fight's big enough, you don't need a guarantee. The reality is no one believes enough in that fight to hit the numbers that the fighters believe is the right number for that fight, right? So if I'm doing that fight, and we're getting deep now, but for some fight fans like that, if I'm doing that fight, I'm budgeting the fight at between 400,000 and 500,000 bites, right? That's where I'm comfortable to pay a guarantee. Now, the fighters think it does $1 million, right? Because someone told them in the gym that it does $1 million, right? But the reality is, it doesn't. It might do 600, it might do 700, but what if it does 350? Who's going to pay the price? Yeah. So with an open book policy, i.e. a split, that's the greatest position for a promoter because you've got no guarantees, no risk. It does what it does, and you get paid what you're worth. But we live in a world in boxing where fighters don't get paid what they're worth. They get paid a lot more than they're actually worth. And good luck to them, all right? But in that instance, if someone's told Terence Crawford that he should be getting 25 million, and there's a guy who someone has phoned him up and told him, I'll give you 25 million, it becomes very difficult for someone like Al Heyman. I don't necessarily blame Al Heyman because Al knows the numbers, and Al wasn't prepared to pay a guarantee because he don't want to lose money. But I keep going back to that fight. Like, we live in a very small world in boxing where we think Spence Crawford is massive. In my opinion, Ryan Garcia against Gervonta Davis is a bigger fight than Spence Crawford, right? It's a mix of fan bases. It's a younger generational fight. it's, for me, that's a bigger fight. And I would be backing, you know, and it doesn't matter if you think I'm right or wrong, but if I'm putting up guarantees, I put a bigger guarantee up for Tank against Ryan Garcia than I do for Spence Crawford. I have more belief because of the fan bases that fight does better numbers. It's just my opinion. So it's fascinating, really. And now, you know, Terence Crawford gets 10 million to fight David Avanesyan, or rumoured. Good luck to him on BLK Prime. I mean, the whole world's gone mad, but good luck to the fighters. You know?
What do you think about that BLK Prime?
It's all right. It's a new platform. I mean, I don't know who's behind it. I know nothing about it at all, you know. But when you come into the market, as we did with DAZN, you have to overpay to convince the fighters to fight on your platform. You know, when DAZN came into the market, they're already operating in, you know, multi-territories with major rights deals, you know, individual domestic TV rights for football leagues. Like, they're a major organisation. BLK have no real history in broadcasting, but yeah, but okay, but at the same time, you know, they're coming in. They have to do something outrageous. They can't just come in and say, "Oh, we're going to pay market value." No one's going to fight on BLK Prime, so they have to come in and say, "Right, we're gonna throw some money around to get people fighting on BLK Prime," and they're doing it for Spence against Avanesyan. Crawford against her. The problem is with that fight, no one's going to watch it, and no one's going to watch it on BLK Prime. Do you know what I mean? And I've experienced that. You know, I've been through this process with a bigger platform, but still coming into the US with a brand that ultimately fight fans hadn't heard of in the US. And I've been through this whole process. So good luck to him. Like, and good luck to Terence Crawford, because he's getting outrageous money for a fight that he could fight, and you know, he could fight Avanesyan 1,000 times, he wouldn't lose once. Right? And Avanesyan's a good fighter, but Terence is a pound for pound top, special fighter. So.
Eddie, I know,
yeah.
It's kind of crazy.
I live in that world.
You've been in that position before, because when DAZN came, everyone was like, "What the heck is DAZN?"
I'm talking about Spence Crawford. Like, I don't think you can blame one, but ultimately, if a fight's big enough, it gets made. Do you know what I mean? Because unless a fighter just completely loses their mind about what the value is in that fight, and also, Marcos, we live in a world where fighters listen to people that have no fucking idea about reality or the numbers. Like, whatever you want to say about Al, he knows the numbers. I know the numbers. Now listen, sometimes a pay-per-view can outperform, but we're rarely wrong to the tune of 5 or 10% of fluctuation. Like, we're pretty, you know, I mean, when you look at Wilder and Helenius, 70,000, 75,000, that was lower than I anticipated, but you know,
75, 70?
It was recorded, you know, but I don't know, like, again, we had Dan Raphael recorded some numbers about Golovkin Canelo, totally wrong, you know, so they might be wrong, but again, you know, but I do think pay-per-view is becoming harder. In the economy and the world that we live in, it has to be an event, and this also transpires to Livegate. If it's just a show, average show or a good show, you know, it might not do the same number at the gate as it did last year. Now, if you create a great event that people have to be at, they will attend and they will pay. But there's more pressure to produce quality shows.
Thank you so much for watching this video, and make sure to subscribe for more videos of your favorite fighters over here on Fight Hub TV, and give us a follow online as well at Fight Hub TV on Twitter and on Instagram. We appreciate it, guys.